hair in my eye, 'cause I got the fan on. Okay, get. That's how I die. That's how I die, with my hair in my eye. Y'all, I think I might be streaming. I'm trying something new with my streaming situation, and I may or may not be like streaming both at the same time to like the feed and then to the shorts feed. I don't know. This is pretty exciting. Hi, beautiful people. I'm so happy to be here. I didn't even do very much of my, like, this is the live stream song I sing in case I'm not actually live at this moment. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about if you've never heard it. Oh my God. Y'all, have you hugged yourself today? Even if you have to do it again, because it feels good. I'm Bonnie Gillespie, get that shadow side, and I'm here to find out if the reason you never really feel safe or feel like your communication is never fully understood, or the reason you have very different rules for love, money, enoughness, taking action, abundance, finding faith in things, breaking shit, or transforming things to the ever-loving ground. It could be because you were born with planets out of bounds. I'm very excited to talk about this because I don't think people talk about planets out of bounds enough, which is one of the reasons that it became a rabbit hole for me. I really started digging in on it because I am married to this person. He's the luckiest man in the world. His name is Keith. I'm married to this person. Oh my God, okay, we're seriously gonna have to do a hair situation. And I know this is how you know that it's not AI, because AI could never do this much hair fiddling and still carry on a conversation. Some would argue I'm not really carrying on a conversation while I'm doing my hair because it's like I'm fixated with it. But it is what it is. Hello. I'm married to this person. Who has a moon out of bounds. And his out of bounds moon is right where my sun is, like to the degree. And when in composite charts, in synastry charts, not composite charts, but in synastry charts, when we meet someone and we want to know, like, how is our synastry, how do we do with each other, we lay one person's chart on top of another person's chart and look at where the planets line up. And so it takes one person's chart and moves the rising sign over to somewhere else, because we just want to see house by house, what do we have in Cancer, what do we have in Leo, what do we have in Virgo, and so on and so forth. So when you do that with the charts of me and my man, my sun is on his moon, which means the day I was born, the sun was on his moon. And that means when we met, he felt moon. How do we feel safe? How do we get our needs met? He felt seen by my sun. He felt in the warmth and leadership and heart-centeredness of my sun on his little baby moon that never feels safe. And so I knew, because of our synastry, sun-moon conjunction in synastry it's a big one. It's like these are people who are going to be together forever, for always. I also have a synastry chart like that with Rachel Lang, and many of y'all who are here in the live chat, hello, and hello replay crew, know Rachel because she and I partner up in our astrology for creatives / aligned MCs work. Okay, so her sun in Libra is on my moon in Libra, right on top, which means when Rachel was born, I got someone whose sun said, I see you and I help you feel safe. Now, my moon's not out of bounds natally, which means I didn't have the, like, I never feel safe, I never get my needs met energy that my spouse has. But my spouse, my husband, my spouse, because of his out of bounds moon, I did some looking. I was like, I want to know what this is, because this seems like it's a recurring thing in our relationship, that no matter what I do to try and help him feel safe, there's going to just be an amount of I will never actually feel safe going on. And I want to know, like, kind of what is that? So I looked into out of bounds, and now we're going to go through it for y'all, for us, for the everybody's, and I hope that you are ready to have a really good time. I'm going to check out the chat for just a sec to see what we got. Hello, Liz. It's so good to see you. Are you having a licious time? You got to remember how to find them and then actually mark them down this time. You know, I got you covered. I got you covered. Hello, my love. I'm talking about you. Kelly, good to see you. Natal out of bounds, Leo, Moon, signing in for extra intel. I have a hard time feeling safe ever. Wee! And then emoji cry. So you know, waving from New York. Love it, love it, love it. Good morning, everyone. Excited to be here. Hello, Michelle. So happy you're here. I'm talking very fast now. Oh, you beautiful people. So good to see you. Hello, Holly. So glad you could join us. I have no idea if I do or not. That's why I'm here. Exactly. I got you. I got you. We're going to get it all figured out. Starting to suspect I might have more than one when you put it like that. VO, LOL, what is it, that I'm dying because of hairs, the way hairs fall on my face, go make me die, go make me dead, or how the AI, it'll never be AI because of all the hair stuff that I have to do. That's how you'll know. Rain, good to see you. Excited for this live stream. Do you have any natal planets out of bounds? My moon was out of bounds February 28th, 1989, ended March. Okay, great. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the, like, when by progression it goes out of bounds. We're going to do all the things. I have slides. So let me shift over here to slides. And my slides are just like in my browser window, because when I said to Canva, hey, I need to print these slides, it said, cool, let's open it in Canva. And I'm like, I'm not mad at that. That's fine. This is just 2 pages. It's 2 pages. It's going to be super easy. Planets out of bounds. Here we go. You could be born with more than one planet or the moon out of bounds. And out of bounds is a position of the celestial equator. If we think about the way we are in fact, I think I have a better way of, I can show visual that. This is astro.com. Their Astro Wiki has, like a wiki does, articles on all the things. And so this is a great little history and how often things go out of bounds and what it means page at astro.com. Great site, a lot of free resources. Don't get overwhelmed. I know. It's so easy. The out of bounds is not measuring the same thing as the degrees on your chart. So like when you're looking at your chart wheel and you see that I have my moon at, in my case, it's, what is it? 18, 16, something, 18, we'll say. My moon, yes, ascendant 16, moon 18. If I have it at 18 degrees, that is not the same degrees that we're talking about with out of bounds, but they still use degrees and minutes. So it's easy to go, oh, I have something at 23 degrees, 26 minutes, different measurement. We're measuring up in a lot of 3D spaces. It is challenging to use the same kind of measurement unit and not mean the same space. So I understand that this can get confusing, but I will implore you to consider that out of bounds is actually measuring not where a planet is in a sign as perceived here on Earth, which is what the chart wheel is showing us. It's actually the tilt of the planet to the equator and how far up or down it is moving away from the celestial equator. And so that center point, that ecliptic, that center point is what we would consider right here across horizontally. But when we move, these planets are always tilting and swaying and all going up and down and up and down. It's like when you see the time-lapse shots of the moon and you get that nice little infinity symbol through the whole year because of where it dips up and down, which is why the moon is out of bounds a lot. It's doing a lot of moving, a lot of changing. This little wiggle room right here, there's a tolerance of 23 degrees, 26 minutes. Anything outside of those numbers, so any larger number than that, either plus or minus, because when we're going directionally, we're at 0 here on this horizontal line, and then we go up a degree and down a degree at the same time. That's a negative, that's a positive, but the degrees are moving up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm exaggerating how much a degree is to give you the point of we're moving higher numbers even though we're going negative with the down here direction, the south direction, and we're moving positive with the north direction. Doesn't matter. The plus minus is just a directional indicator, but anytime we get outside 23 degrees 26 minutes, we have moved out of bounds. And so this is something that's actually happening astronomically. And for a while it was 23 degrees 27 and a half minutes. Then it became 23 degrees 25 minutes. Or that's where it's headed, 23 degrees 25 minutes. Right now it's around 23 degrees 26 minutes, and you can see that these changes are happening over the course of 100 years, that the range shifts slightly more narrow. And that is because we are all experiencing a narrowing of going out of bounds as we get more in the path of a standard orbit. And so this is a great table. This shows how much percentage of time these planets, or the moon in this case, one celestial, one luminary out of all of these, is going into this situation of out of boundsness. And so the sun, never out of bounds, because that's what we're measuring against. The moon, 15% of the time, is out of bounds. So to be born with a moon out of bounds is not out of this world. Ha ha! You see what I did there? This is actually a real thing. It does happen, in fact. And to have a Mercury out of bounds, 13% of the time it happens. 12% for Venus. 17% for Mars. So it's even more likely to have a Mars out of bounds. And we see a lot of that acting out here in our personalities on this planet. 1% of the time for Jupiter. Not often at all, because that one's getting real standards, almost done doing its thing. 8% of the time for Uranus out of bounds, and 10% of the time for Pluto out of bounds. Pluto is right now going through an out of bounds period that just began last year. Pluto had not been out of bounds for 60 something years. It just was not going out of bounds anymore. It was just sticking pretty standard to that ecliptic, and then started going out of bounds again last year. I find that fascinating in terms of the woo weather. So let's go back over here to see that when a planet goes out of bounds astrologically, what we're experiencing is the planet is the what, the sign is the how, and the house is where it all shows up in your life. So remember that chart harmony formula. That means the planet's what, because the planet is the what, has no rules. If the planet is out of bounds, it doesn't experience the same rules that exist within that equator bound situation. It has shifted out of the bounds of that gravitational pull, of that space, and it means that there are astrologically, in our lived experience, things that just don't follow the same rules as for everybody else. This is obviously not quite as uncommon as we may like to think sometimes, but it is still a minority of people that are experiencing this. But we are all experiencing, I thank you, Firefox, I don't need your help. We're all experiencing planets moving out of bounds through mundane astrology, like in the woo weather. We can just go over to astroseek.com, and that's the URL on this one is horoscopes.astro-seek.com. And it's the moon out of bounds for 2026 calculator that I'm looking at right now. And you see the moon goes out of bounds a damn lot, but it's for a couple days here, couple days there, couple days here, couple days there, north and south, north and south. So it's showing the percentage of days in 2026 to 2027, or this, is it an 18-month period that we're getting here? We're getting, it's a 2-year period that we're getting 26% of the time, 27% of the time, the moon is out of bounds over this 2-year period. But if we want to take a look at something, like I said, Pluto, we're going to go back to 2025 because that's when this particular cycle started. We got Pluto moving out of bounds for 5% of the time over the course of this decade. This decade right here. Oh my God, ads. Oh, all the ads. Dear God. We've got, and I know I can't complain about ads unless I'm running my own site and making it ad free. Thank you, AstroSeek, for all the wonderfulness that you provide. These ads are just a little intrusive and like all in my face. So I'm going to try to ignore the part that is the ads while I take a look at this. But this shows that Pluto is going out of bounds for this decade, for this 11 years, 5% of the time. That's not a ton of times. And that's because Pluto is going out of bounds for this decade and then not again for a long, long time, just like it wasn't for a long, long time before this 2025 period of going out of bounds. So when something is out of bounds, the what gets wonky. It gets out of rule havingness. And so we're right now experiencing a couple things out of bounds through mundane astrology or regular woo weather. So we can look around and say, it does feel like Pluto's out of bounds. It does feel like transformation has no rules. This is very interesting, especially for someone like me who is, I rock with Pluto. We're good. We had a minute where while Pluto was in Capricorn, it was either opposing or squaring everything in my chart. That was not cute. But we're in a detente now that Pluto is in Aquarius, and I'm like, okay, now we're good. We're good. I get you. And I appreciate that you are burning things to the motherfucking ground so that you can build them all back up again, because that is what Pluto does. Bone, just a transformation all the way down to the bones. Pluto is, since 2025, in a whole different kind of transformation era, and will be through 2035, and then not again for foreverness. And that kind of reality that we're all living through, and everybody who's being born during these 11 years has a much better chance of having a Pluto out of bounds than they did in the years when it was not going out of bounds at all, wouldn't you say? That's a really interesting signature that people are getting, and we're all having that vibe, even if we didn't have it in our natal charts. So planets out of bounds is something we experience for that what signature through regular woo weather happenings, and it's also something that can be in our natal charts, and it's something that can happen by progression. So there's a timing technique called secondary progression. And when something is in a place in your chart that moves by progression, it's just a timing technique. I'm not going to go into the details of it right now, but there's a timing technique, there are many, that will take our chart placements from natal and progress them to show what's happening in big chapters in our lives. And during our lives, we will experience things going in and out of bounds by progression. And that is something that marks a couple year period for us each time something is, like if it's the moon, that's the most common one. The moon going in and out of bounds throughout our progressed timeline changes how safe we feel or how we feel we're getting our needs met, because that's the what of the moon. The moon is how we get our needs met. And when that shifts by progression, we suddenly go, why is everything different? We also have other planets that will go out of bounds by progression and will change things like our gender expression, like our ability to take action, either in the I am just out everywhere doing things that I wasn't doing before, or I can no longer do things that used to feel easy to me, or I'm more likely to join a cult or start a cult than I ever thought would be possible. It was never even something I conceived of, and then Jupiter went out of bounds in my progress chart, and suddenly, like, these are the kinds of things that can happen. And so you're going, God, this seems like something I should want to keep up with. In fact, it is. And there's a fabulous calculator, also with ads. So just, again, get ad blindness, you'll be fine. This out of bounds calculator is at lunarium.co.uk/calculators/out-of-bounds. And all of these links are in the description of this video. So go ahead and open the description of this video and click on these links if you can't catch what I'm saying in the speed by or sharing it on the screen. But this calculator right here does not matter birthplace. For this calculator, it's just date and time of birth. It is going to let you know what you have out of bounds. So I'm going to do my husband. It's not that kind of live stream. I'm going to do my husband. I know he doesn't mind. He knows that he is always going to be a bit of a guinea pig for, he's not born in 2000 something, for all of my astro things. So we're going to go March 3rd, 1996, time of birth 1:13 a.m., which is 0113. Calculate. Okay. My husband, date of birth 3366, was born with the moon out of bounds to the north. That's what this N means. 26 degrees 11 minutes. That is out of bounds for where the tolerance was at the time of this decade. Remember, we looked at those degrees and the minutes on that list from astro.com. So that declination out of bounds for the moon means there's a natal moon situation in which the moon is not following the rules that everybody else seems to follow. So this is where you get someone never feeling safe, never feeling like they get their needs met, never feeling as if there is a way to even communicate what that feeling is. For him specifically, it's PTSD, paranoia. It's having grown up in a household that was abusive. It's having then chosen to go into the Marines straight out of high school, having been homeless for a period of time before that, feeling completely unmoored and unsafe, and then going into the Marines because that felt safe somehow. And then specializing in something like infantry because, of course, you are going to have sniper skills if you always feel like something is trying to get you. And in terms of his chart, he's got Scorpio 12th house. Something is always trying to get him. His nodes are across Scorpio Taurus. He's got a lot of that going on in his chart. Look at this ad. Just close the ad. Do not see the ad. Close the ad. So the progressed out of bounds status, though, is what we also want to take a look at. And this is one of the ways that we can get triggered by out of bounds feelings, even if we don't have out of bounds planets in our natal chart. So the moon stopped being out of bounds by progression at age 2. So from age 2 to 11, something got a little more stabilizing in his life somehow. We don't know what. I could probably clock what might have felt a little more stable, but then it went back out of bounds at age 11. And from age 11 to 15, he's back to, nope, don't trust any of it. It's a lie. It's a trick. It's a trap. All of this, right? And then you see these ads back and forth, these ads. You see these ages. You also see the ads. You see these ages back and forth, this pattern of moon out of bounds, moon in bounds, moon out of bounds, moon in bounds. And all of these ages tend to click with things in his life. And I'm looking at where we are right now. We're in age 57 to age 65. Moon ceased to be out of bounds. But in this period, he has felt less stable because he's used to a moon out of bounds. And so when the moon goes back in bounds, that to him is foreign. And so, Kelly, I know you were talking about having a natal moon out of bounds. When the moon is in bounds by progression, we can feel even more weirded out and unsafe than we felt when things were out of bounds, because for us, chaos is the baseline. This is a lot of attachment theory falls into this as well. But so you see this is just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Keith also gets at age 89, Mercury going out of bounds. So we're going to talk about what the different planets mean. The moon is the one we're going to see the most, but I also want to give you an example of my own situation because I have a where's my out of bounds calendar? I don't want that one. I want the calculator. I clicked the wrong thing. Calculator out of bounds. We're now going to do me because I also have my own consent. July, consent is sexy, y'all. 1970. And then I was born at 1341 because I know it does military time. All right, calculate. All right, no planets out of bounds on this day. When I was born, nothing was out of bounds. But at age 3, the moon went out of bounds. Well, guess what? At age 3, one of my first memories, if not my first memory, trigger warning for medical procedures. I'm not going to get into gory details, but I woke up because they had not put me under deeply enough. And I have a memory of something being up inside me. They were doing what's it called? Bladder cystoscopy. So I had stuff moving up my little baby urethra, and people gathered around me all in masks. No mom, no dad. What the fuck's going on? That tracks again with an ad. Thank you. We really don't need it. The moon ceased to be out of bounds around age 8. This would be after dad left, and then oh yeah, this was so much chaos between these two. And by age 8, I would have been moved into a different school. It was definitely a chaotic time, but things were starting to get a new normal. But then by age 16, out of bounds again. So moon, back and forth, back and forth. And this is, you see, happening years at a time. And I can, again, track all of this. I am right here in an age 49 to age 58 period of no moon out of bounds, which probably explains why I've been feeling strangely safe, even though the world is doing what it's doing. Age 58, Moon will be out of bounds again for me. That'll be an interesting time. Of course, I have a pretty chill relationship with this stuff. At age 55, Venus and the Moon both go out of bounds for me. I am so interested to find out what happens when Venus goes out of bounds for me. Okay, so you see, that's what it looks like when you're born with no planets out of bounds. You still get all of these planets out of bounds by progression. But Bonnie, could you please give us an overview of like what it all means? I can. Slide number 2. This is the one that explains the what for each of these. You'll notice some planets are missing from this list because this is all that can go out of bounds. This is it right here. We've got Pluto, the planet of transformation. This first column here is what that planet is typically doing. And then this second column over here, I guess technically the third column, fourth, if you want to call the planets the little cuties in their own column. This one over here to the far right, this one right here is the list of what happens when the planets are out of bounds. Pluto is all about the what of transformation. Again, planet is the what, the sign is the how, and the house is where it all shows up in your chart. So we've got Pluto, the planet of transformation. When out of bounds, it is to the extreme. You thought it was already burn it to the motherfucking ground transformation style, just naturally, because that's what Pluto is. Yeah. And it is in ways that we couldn't even fathom when Pluto is out of bounds. And so we're in this era right now of 11 years where Pluto is going to go out of bounds each year for a few months. It's mind-boggling, the kinds of transformations that are happening, the kinds of shifts that are happening socially in ways that are unlike what we may have expected going in. And this is where I'm talking about things like, it's normalizing talking about encounters with UFOs, and they've even given them a new acronym, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure someone here remembers or knows what that one is. There are all sorts of wild things that are happening that are becoming the norm in terms of understanding the physics of the timeline and the dimension and all the spaces at which we are experiencing things simultaneously. A lot of that kind of conversation is happening in ways that are very exciting, considering we're only at the very beginning of a decade plus of Pluto moving in and out of bounds. Uranus is the planet of disruption. I am working on someone's chart right now who has natal Uranus out of bounds, and she is definitely a trailblazer. She is someone who has disrupted the field, and her Uranus is in her 10th house. So in her career, she has disrupted the field of what she does for a living. And I'm like, that makes so much sense because she was born with Uranus out of bounds, which means we're not just going to create disruption, we're going to blow it all up. You see that some of these, especially with the outers, are doing like big things. Like it's the out of bounds is so out there, right? Can be, yeah, because remember, the stuff that's going on with the outers is happening to us all. It is something that we're experiencing as a collective. And when you're experiencing something as a collective, it very definitely can create a situation where it has to be that big to get our attention, to make the impact that it needs to make. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, among other things. And when you're born with Jupiter out of bounds, the guru syndrome is a much bigger player for you potentially, because you already with Jupiter anywhere in our charts, any of us, that is the place where we're going to seek faith and religion and spirituality. Sort of Neptune is more spirituality than Jupiter tends to be. However, it can go there. Jupiter is a place of expansion and can be a place where we find false prophets, where we go, or we become a guru. And like I said, you could start your own cult if you've got Jupiter out of bounds. And it's fascinating to find people who have natal Jupiter out of bounds, who have been very dominant figures in cult spaces. It's just fascinating. Or in big religion. It doesn't have to, cult has obviously negative connotations, obviously. The cult is not the only option there. Mars, the planet of action, and where is your motivation? Misplaced rage is where I went for the out of bounds signature, but it can also be just being hyper focused on the militant way of doing things, the more martial form of doing things. The way that would be, I am going to be career military and I'm going to choose for my fitness not something that has anything but weapons. Like it's I'm not going to do a sport that is like a team thing. I'm going to do something that trains me to be a better killer, like, because Mars loves to cut a bitch. And so misplaced may be a word that has a little more judgment in it than I would use now. But when I made this slide last night, that's where my head was for this. For Venus, love, money, enoughness. We know that that's the signature of Venus at all in our lives. And a Venus out of bounds natally, I put non-traditional values because values covers how we do love, money, and enoughness. And oftentimes a Venus going out of bounds by progression is something that coincides with what could seem like a very late in life shift in who we love or how we feel about money or where we find our enoughness. And those are sometimes incredibly beautiful places of growth and opportunities to see things that we wouldn't get to see in that person's life. So it can be beautiful. It doesn't have to be that out of bounds is negative. Remember, out of bounds just means no rules, or rules are different for you. And anybody who's experienced any sort of neurodivergence knows that the rules are different for us for lots of reasons. And that doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means we've got to get used to doing things in a space that isn't built for us. I am left-handed. That is one of the biggest we're a tiny part of the population, but it's one of the biggest parts of the population that gets no extra consideration whatsoever for the constant changing of how we have to do everything, because the world is built for right-handed people, and left-handed people constantly have to adjust and adapt. And so you could say that being left-handed is a form of being out of bounds, and there just has to be a form of adjustment that takes place. Mercury, the planet of communication. If you've got Mercury out of bounds in your natal chart, you are likely, or by progression, when you get Mercury moving out of bounds, you are going to change your relationship with your ability to communicate psychically, to receive information in different timelines and different dimensions than what you are used to experiencing, if it's something that changes by progression. The moon, as we've discussed a lot, because this is the one that most people recognize as happening, this one is your emotional safety and getting your needs met. And by out of bounds status, it's going to be never really feeling safe, never really feeling like my needs are being met. I'm going to come off slides for a sec and check on y'all in the chat. I can see there's been lots of activity, and I want to find out what's up and how I can continue to help. But I love this conversation y'all are having. Let's see. Grabbed my birth chart. Looks like I have Moon and Mercury out of bounds. Okay, Michelle. All right. So that means psychic powers for that Mercury. And it means never feeling safe or never feeling like the needs are met for that Moon out of bounds. Does that track for you? You say, no, not my moon sign Leo, but my ascendant Cancer ruled by Moon and Mercury. Oh, I think you're having a conversation with someone here. Okay, Pluto had not gone out of bounds in a long time. Long time. Pluto is doing that thing so the reason you didn't see Saturn or Neptune on the slides is because they're done going out of bounds. Like, I think in this article that I pulled up from astro.com, it says that Saturn has not gone out of bounds since September of 253 CE. So of the current era of timekeeping, 253, the year 253 was the last time Saturn was out of bounds. And before that, it was out of bounds in year 194 and 165 and 47 and 18 CE. So it's been a minute. And so that's where we are. We're getting with Pluto. Like, we're getting to experience the last of Pluto needing to ever go out of bounds. And then for our lived experience, it's not going to happen anymore. Let's see, no out of bounds, says VO, natal, using the calculator linked in your email, but cool to see the progressed out of bounds planetary dates in life. Do they click with you, VO? Do they land with anything in particular that you can, like, track? in your lived experience of feeling safe or getting your needs met. Danielle, hello, says, looks like my natal Pluto was out of bounds. What? No, you're using the degree of Pluto itself. So you missed the place where I was talking about, and that's fine. If you joined late, you would not have heard me say it. We're not using the degree of your planets on your chart wheel. We're using a very special separate calculator that measures out of bounds. And for your natal Pluto to be out of bounds, you would need to be a boomer and an elder boomer at that. And I know you and I are around the same age. So I think you're using, in fact, I know you are, based on the degree that you're listing of Virgo. You're listing the degree that Pluto was in your natal chart, as opposed to the out of bounds, which is the declination. It's measuring something different. Vio says, so cool, but I have to come back for replay. Sweet to enjoy the kickoff live. Thank you so much, Vio, for being here. I do appreciate you. And say hello in the comments for the replay. I love it when you do. Sarah says, my Mercury is out of bounds on my natal in Cancer 4th house. Okay, so Sarah, do you always feel as though you are communicating on psychic levels, or that there are entities or different timelines, different versions of yourself communicating with you? And of course, being a Cancer Mercury, I am as well. We're already really intuitive and picking up on a lot of other people's communications anyway, because water sign Mercuries tend to be a lot more sensitive to other stuff, other people's forms of communication, because the water carries messages very well. But I would love to know, do you feel that that is something that has continued to be a story in your life? I would love to know. Thank you for participating in the chat. Lizzie says, birthplace does not matter on the calculator. That is correct. Change location. No, it doesn't matter, Lizzie. It doesn't. The place does not matter, because the planets go out of bounds for months at a time. And so the place is mapping what we see on the chart wheel. It's not mapping the declination. And if you click the button to change the location for the calculator, it's just going to ask you to put in latitude and longitude, because you want, for some reason, the precision of what time the day changed. But these are much bigger, more sweeping stories, which is why you see on the calculator, it's listing by the age. When you're age this happens. When you're age this happens. We're just doing big chunks. So it doesn't matter. I know. Yeah. Okay, Lizzie, I see via the calculator that I was born with natal out of bound moon, and that's all. And it's in and out of the forecast for me until age 99. Very interesting. Yep. Exactly. Venus went out of bounds, says Kelly, in my progress chart when I was 43, and that's when I graduated from Smith and moved to New York to just try this town for a while. What do you think, Kelly? Have you decided yet? Have you decided how you feel about this town? I love that you shifted gears in such a major way when your progressed Venus went out of bounds. Did it change how you love, how you money, who you money? Did it change your enoughness in significant ways? I would love to know. That's fabulous. Fascinating about the outer planets. Whoa, what, says Lizzie. Yep. Sarah says, interesting that my out of bounds Mercury ceased to be out of bounds at age 8 and nothing else listed. So that does that mean it isn't as strong as it was when I was born? So Sarah, secondary progressions are a whole timing technique that show you eras in your life during which certain things are going to be the themes. And so not just out of bounds, but everything in your chart can be measured through the timing technique of secondary progressions. And so I remember when my mom, the astrologer, was seeing people for their readings, she would do one kind of reading that was the natal reading. And this was, you'd come to her for, I think the final price she was charging was $225. You would come to her for your natal chart reading. I was so proud of her, because that was a big price increase that she did in the final years of her life, which I mean, she had been like an astrologer for more than 25 years at that point, so it made sense that she would be able to like go up on that price a little bit, because she had been charging like $60. Anyway, oh my God, I so see myself in so much of that enoughness conversation. Anyway, she would do a reading for you that was your natal reading, and then you would come to her every year for your progressed reading. And in the progressed reading, she would look at, okay, now you have this planet very little moves by progression other than like the moon. That's the biggie. Mercury, your rising will shift. The sun will shift. There are things that, because it's basically, I don't want to do the progression teach right now, but it's basically that we have things that are moving 1 degree a day, like the sun is moving 1 degree a day, like 1 day of our life. That's what it is. 1 day of our life lived is getting mapped out to a year by progression. Blah, 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 geek, geek, dweeb, dweeb, math, math. What it actually is doing, though, is it's saying that there are times in our lives when, by progression, something shifts into a new place in our chart. And so by progression, the Venus that you were born with, or your Mercury was natally out of bounds, Sarah, it shifted to back in bounds on the 8th day of your actual life, and that becomes age 8 by progression. And so that's what that means from a like actual process point of view. What it means in your lived experience is you still have the birth chart that you were born with, because we are born with a birth chart. That moment in time is stamped. That one birth chart map is forever the map to us. And then we use timing techniques to see what kinds of eras are we entering into, what kinds of experiences are we shifting into and out of. And so to be able to shift out of and out of bounds by progression, it just means as you're living, you don't feel as rule breaky in the way you experience Venus. However, your natal settings say you will always come at Venus activities, or what's, because you remember the planet is the what, the sign is the how, and the house is where it shows up for you. You will come at your Venus activities of love, money, enoughness, values, and valuables. You will come at those from a way that doesn't use the same rule book as everyone else. Keep in mind that Venus has 12% of its lifetime out of bounds, which means you do have your pack of people that also do Venus without rules. But their way of doing no rules may be different than your way of doing no rules, because sometimes no rules means way stricter, especially with a planet like Venus. Venus is all about attract, magnetize, manifest. It's not go out and get, which is more a Mars thing. But a Venus out of bounds may feel like I actually do have to go out and get. That is a place where we can see a natal Venus out of bounds behaving differently. I hope that helps. Okay. Rain, my Mercury, Mars, and Uranus are out of bounds. In your birth chart? What? Rain. What? Okay. That is quite a signature, Rain. Honey. So Mercury out of bounds, we've talked about. That's the psychic communication. Tell me if that checks out for you. Mars out of bounds. Do you feel more action takey than this is the problem. Then how would you know what a normal Mars feels like, right? Do you feel that there are no rules when it comes to fighting? Do you feel that there are no rules when it comes to motivation? When it comes to what deserves a bitch to be cut, thinking of Mars things, do you find yourself either completely avoiding Mars-like energy or obsessed with it to the point that you go all in on everything, like you're the most competitive person? You are someone who just does the most when it comes to Mars-like energy, because it can be either way, and a lot of other ways. Out of bounds means just no rules, so it just means not what we're used to. But what else could it be? Infinite other things, seemingly, right? So I'm just sharing like a couple of the examples of what it could be. Let's see. For Uranus out of bounds, like I mentioned with my client, having a Uranus out of bounds in your natal chart, that's rule breaky to the extreme. It is, I'm going to create some real disruption when I do things in the place where Uranus is in my natal chart. Because remember, you have to look at where that is in your natal chart for where it shows up in your life. For this client, it was in her 10th house of career and the public eye. And she has, in fact, been incredibly groundbreaking when it comes to advances in her field. She's a doctor, and so there are just specific things that she has done that have been not popular and not the way we do things, but they have made a big difference in the field. And so that's the kind of thing I would check with that. That is fascinating, Rain. Oh my gosh, you may, right, like with 3 out of bounds natally, you may be the winner of most out of bounds natally in my practice. I'll have to check. I think I saw someone once that may have had like 4 things out of bounds, and I was like, oh my God, it doesn't even matter which planets are out of bounds when you've got 4 of them. Instead, it's all about there is going to be a conversation about what the rules are pretty much every day with someone who's got that much out of bounds. I wonder if that's a theme for you, and has been. Sarah says, I never thought of it as other communications from other versions of me, but I could definitely see this for me. Sarah, yeah, with Mercury and communication, this is where I was just watching a live stream, a video before my live stream. I was watching a video from Patricia Collins. She's great. If you don't follow her on YouTube, I recommend that you do. Patricia Collins, she's an astrologer. I was just watching something that she did that premiered today on her channel. And she was talking about different timelines, different dimensions, and how we're all moving into the reality of it is safe to have conversations about the fact that time is not linear. And we are, like, in a human experience, agreeing to say that this is Wednesday, and that's the now. And here in the Pacific, it is 11:48 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Like, we're agreeing that this is true because we have both subscribed to this story of time. But we're coming to get a little more fluid with how we discuss time and timelines and simultaneous existence upon multiple non-linear timelines. Like, this is something that we know from physics, and it's a little brain breaky, but when we get cool with having conversations about time as a social construct rather than a reality, it helps a great deal. And someone who was born with Mercury out of bounds was already having those conversations with future me and past me and imagined me on a different timeline. Like, this is the imaginary numbers in math. Like, there's this whole other way of doing things that is not even on this agreed upon linear timeline. It's actually in this spiral, and we're always coming back around to a place on the spiral that past us and future us can also connect with us on. And that feels a little like, what the hell are you talking about, lady? Unless you've already been down with this kind of communication. Someone who's born with Mercury out of bounds may have always been communicating like this and being made to feel as if something's wrong with you. And that's the beautiful part of learning about out of bounds. We go, there's nothing wrong with me. I have something that has been working at a different space than everyone else has been working. And now y'all catching up to where I have always been having my conversations. That's what I love about Mercury out of bounds, is that it's just genius because it is using thought and communication in ways that break the rules of what we think we have to be constrained by. What we think we have to be constrained by. Yeah. I used to love it, but now, says Kelly. These days I kind of want to go live in the cabin, in the mountains, or the woods. That's okay. That's okay. That is absolutely in line with a Saturn return. That makes sense. You got to remember, this is just one form of measuring things. We also have the transits. We also have profections and Fidaria and they're all the different timing techniques and all the different ways to measure the things that we're experiencing in our charts throughout our lives. These are just some of the techniques that we're talking about. So yeah, that tracks too. This is so interesting. Another fun layer of ourselves to dive into. Exactly, Sarah. That's how I see it. I see this as all a bunch of stuff that we can layer on into the stew of what is us. But we don't use them in isolation. We teach them in isolation. We live our charts in a much fuller, more stew-like way. It's much more complex than that. Okay, let's look. Mars and Mercury are in Gemini and Uranus in Sagittarius. Rain, are you maybe using the degrees of your planets rather than the declination? Did you use the calculator and get all 3 of those out of bounds? I want to check. I want to make sure you're not using the degrees on the chart wheel, because that's like rule number 1 with this. We're not using the degrees on the chart wheel. We have to use the calculator. When it comes to fighting, I go all out. All rules are out the window. I'm always moving and finding things to do. I always feel somewhat psychic when it comes to everything around me. Awesome. Love being able to have these convos around me, so I'm here for it. Yay! Oh, convos around time. Yeah. Me too. I also feel like when I'm about to blow up, that I'm about to blow up more than seems reasonable. I could feel that for lots of reasons. Yeah, but Rain, go into that out of bounds planet calculator and see if it is there. Not the degrees. You use the lunarium calculator. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to double check because as soon as you also mentioned the sign and house that these are in, even though that's interesting and something we want to talk about as well, I just wanted to make sure that you weren't using your actual chart to get these degrees. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Jackie, late, yes, but I made it. Missed so much. Definitely going to replay this class. You are so welcome, Jackie. I am doing well. Thank you. Layers. Yes, I can't forget. It's all present. Yes, and present. The irony of being present during what is time. Learning astrology feels like dissecting a crock pot recipe. Lizzie, I don't do kitchen, but I will take your word at it. Excellent. If that, like, what would it be to be someone who could taste something that is a stew and start to isolate the ingredients? I love watching like Top Chef. I don't like the ones where people are mean. I don't like the chef shows where people are just assholes for no reason. I mean, and not for no reason, because they're straight white dudes. I know why they're being assholes, because they've gotten away with it for fuck ever, and somehow we decide that's okay. It's not okay. I don't like that. But I love like Top Chef, and they'll sometimes do things where someone has to like eat something and then figure out what the ingredients are and make a version of it. And I'm just fascinated that people can have a palate developed to be able to do that. I mean, it's a thing. Excellent. Okay, questions. Is there anything about planets out of bounds that you still need to know or about which you are curious? I'm going to share screen again for just a bit. And y'all put in any last questions because we're coming up on the hour. I love getting to share this time with y'all. Thank you for being here and thank you for watching in replay. Hey, replay crew. Do leave a comment. Let me know. Oh, I have not even shown my very impressive non-AI poster. This channel is an AI-free zone. Let me make sure that it fits in the shorts version of the stream. Y'all, this channel is an AI-free zone. Please support human creators by engaging. Okay? Seriously. Support human interaction. Back to the slides. All right. So, no rules. Look for where this is in your chart natally. And if you don't have anything natally, you can use from this calculator when things move out of bounds by progression. And I love this AstroSeek calendar, except for all the damn ads. Oh my God, they're growing. Okay, but you know, ads. You gotta pay for the website. I appreciate that. So this space here, we can look at what planets we want to track. When are they going out of bounds? These are the same ones that were on my slide. We've got the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto. That's what we're tracking. Moon goes out of bounds the most. So when we take a look at that, we can map out these dates on our calendar if we want to. But honestly, the Moon is in and out of bounds so frequently that I do not track it in the mundane astrology. Like in the woo weather, in my aligned hustle calendar, this is not something that I map out because it's too much. It's not necessary to do all that. Let me actually take a sec here and show what I'm talking about. One moment, please. Do pinwheel of death. Okay, here we go. Get this one. Open. I'm opening from another computer in another room. Go here, go here, go here, and here. This is gonna be really big. And I'm gonna move it over there. For instance, this is the August 2026 Aligned Hustle calendar. You will see that I include things like, well, here at the start of the month, Pluto, Neptune, Saturn retrograde all month long. Mars goes out of bounds on the 3rd of August 2026. Mars comes back in bounds, I think right here, in August as well, on the 28th. Mars moves back inbound, so our rules for passion come back. So look at that. All through eclipse season, August 2026, Mars is out of bounds. That's significant. So like I look at things like that, but I don't put the moon going out of bounds on the Aligned Hustle calendar. And if you want the Aligned Hustle calendar, I will drop a link in the description when I edit for time code later, so that you can go subscribe to this and get it in your inbox, or get access to it through, there's a link, you'll get an email in your inbox, and then you'll click it and you'll go download your version of the calendar each month. Or if you want to join us in Live Your Chart membership, we go through this calendar together every month. And as you can see, we meet right as the season changes. So right at the end of Leo season, we'll be meeting in Live Your Chart and doing the September 2026 calendar. And then we do the entire calendar together, and then we take a break, and then we do a deep dive topic. And so, for instance, last week in Live Your Chart membership, we did the topic of the nodes shifting to Aquarius Leo for the next 18 and a half months. And we did a hot seat of where is this showing up in your chart, and what will that feel like to you, and going through and answering questions in the small group membership. And so, and we also have a private discussion area in our Chart Harmony Discord. So if you'd like to join us, links for that are in the description. But I will also note that Pluto going out of bounds starts on the 12th of August. Dude, like, we're getting an eclipse, we're getting Mercury sextile Uranus on the 12th of August, and Pluto goes out of bounds. And this is going to be the case for a couple months. So we're going to have Pluto and Mars out of bounds simultaneously for the whole last half of August. And then Mars comes back in bounds on the 28th. Okay, so when I am doing that Aligned Hustle calendar work, I'm not putting the moon going in and out of bounds on it, because it happens so frequently. So if that feels, though, like if you are ruled by the moon, if you have Cancer rising, or if you are in a Cancer ruled year by profection, you may want to track when the moon is moving in and out of bounds more than you would in a different profection year. Or if you natally have Cancer rising, this may feel very important to you, or it could just feel so common to you that you don't even track it because it's just happening all the time. So your mileage may vary on that, but that's how I would use that. Mercury going out of bounds, and I know I'm doing this from last year because I want to show like where it ramped up starting last year. So we had Mercury moving out of bounds from the 10th to the 20th of January, and then not again until June 2nd to June 21st, and then November 1st to November 11th of 2025, and then December 29th of 2025 to January 15th, 2026. If any, like, go back and look at your calendar for these ranges. The most recent one was May 23rd, 2026 to June 14th, 2026, as I'm recording this. But we will not have another one until December 19th of 2026 to January 9th of 2027. Take a look at where Mercury being out of bounds has felt any kind of way in your life as it's happening in the mundane calendar. And so just in the regular woo weather, if you've been feeling these shifts, or if you can notice where these have happened in your life, where that tracks, remembering that for Mercury, we're looking for psychic powers getting turned up. And so take a look at where was Mercury in my chart when it was out of bounds during these dates, and did I find that I was getting more psychic or timeline shifted communication than I usually get? That would be a fun way to play with that. And again, if your chart ruler is Mercury, because you have Gemini or Virgo rising, or if you are in a Mercury ruled year by profection like me. I am currently in my Gemini, aka Mercury ruled year by perfection. Taking a look at Mercury going in and out of bounds could be even more meaningful. We're now going to take a look at Venus going in and out of bounds starting from 2025, and we kicked off 2026 with Venus out of bounds because she went out of bounds December 22nd, 2025 through January 3rd, 2026. Real short little period of time there. She has most recently been out of bounds for a month from May 6th, 2026 to June 7th, 2026. So did you feel that during that month of Venus being out of bounds that the rules sort of changed around love, money, enoughness? You know, Venus is my chart ruler natally because I'm Libra rising. So I would take a look, for me, Venus is a bigger player than it might be for someone else. I'm going to take a look at that month and go, what was going on for me with love, money, enoughness, and the rules? That would be interesting. And then not again until July of 2027, and so on. And then we're going to do the same with Mars. Take a look at when in the woo weather has Mars been out of bounds. Mars was out of bounds for the whole first quarter of 2025. Yeah, that tracks. The whole first quarter of 2025, when instead of inaugurating our first female president, we got this dickwad again. Yeah. I'd say Mars out of bounds tracks. Yeah. Mars out of bounds for the last part of 2025, all of December into January 4th of 2026. And we are about to head into Mars out of bounds as referenced on the Aligned Hustle calendar. I just showed it to you. It's happening August 3rd to August 28th of 2026. And then will happen not again until November into December of 2027. So if you like when Mars is out of bounds because you need that fire because your natal Mars doesn't necessarily rock like that, you get a chance to do that. Jupiter's not going to be out of bounds until 2055. So, you know, like I said from the astro.com article, Jupiter is going less and less and less out of bounds. That's at 1% of the time in our lived experience, Jupiter is out of bounds. So that means our creating of gurus by natal chart is happening less and less frequently, and that's fine with me. But I would definitely be taking a look at people who are born during this wild period that Jupiter is out of bounds in 2055. Let's go back a while and see when was Jupiter out of bounds. Let's go back to 1960 and see the period that Jupiter was out of bounds during any of that. Is it going to be the same? Looks like. Nope, there we go. Okay, good. It just wasn't loading. There we go. It's 1972. So we had people born in 1972 that got this guru syndrome. We got people born in 78 who rock like that. We got people born in 1984 like that. This is where I have so much fun. I like looking at influencers or people that are like young and creating a lot of like disruption around beliefs. Were they born during some of these out of bounds Jupiter times? I love stuff like this. All right, and then taking a look at Uranus out of bounds. And again, I'm going back as far as 1960. We got a period of time for the whole first half of 1987. And then actually for a lot of 1987. It's the whole first half of 1987 and then again from October of 1987 until February of 1990, and then 1990 May through December, and then 91 August through October, into October, not through October, and then not again until 2031 for Uranus out of bounds. So this tracks with what Rain was saying. I was born when Uranus is out of bounds, and I'm like, look at it. Would you look at that? Look at that. I mean, there's a whole population of people born in these years that have Uranus out of bounds, which says we are going to disrupt and we are going to create chaos, but not in the way you think. And I think that's true. Ooh, see, I love patterns. Oh my God, this is so much fun to track. Okay, and then Pluto being out of bounds. Oh, now it needs to know that I'm human. Hey, thanks, robots. I appreciate you checking to see if I'm not a robot. Did you really check? I'm just checking. Okay, so here we are. Since 1960, no, Pluto's not been out of bounds for a long, long time, and it started being out of bounds last year, 2025. We got a first taste of it, and then we get it again for around the same amount of time from August into December this year, we'll get it. And then in 2027 from August to December. So you see, we're getting like the last half of the year every year for a little bit. We're getting that experience of Pluto going out of bounds, which is this experience in our woo weather of transformation to the extreme. Like, wow, I did not think it could be this big. And so what we'll see, even if we don't have natal Pluto out of bounds, we're all getting to live the experience of transiting Pluto out of bounds. So yes, people are being born with Pluto out of bounds, but we living here as adults having this experience, and kids too, they just may not be able to articulate it as well, or maybe even better, which would not surprise me at all. We're getting this experience of transformation as something so much deeper than what we thought it was. And I think that is just freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. All right, what questions might you have in the chat as we are doing this last call? I am continuing to turn off my air. One fan, another fan, the AC, the not AC. I had to move in here into my lovely puppy. We just celebrated Mala's Gotcha Day on the 25th of July. We got him 4 years ago. Oh my God, life changer. And we've been doing a lot of playing and hanging out in here because this is the room that we can cool off. All right, let's see what we got. Da, da. Is there any chart harmony? Of course there is. I'm so glad you asked. Is out of bounds similar to retrograde in that people who have natal placements are more or less sensitive or comfy with it in retrograde or out of bounds? My observation, Lizzie, is that when you are born with a certain signature, whatever it is, something being retrograde, something being out of bounds, something being in a hard aspect, like I have 15 natal squares, like that's a lot. Like I shock people when I say I have 15 natal squares, and I'm not being hyperbolic. Like you look at my chart and you see like everything is square something else. Like it's just a lot of squares. When you are born with something, that's what you're used to. So you don't know what it is to live anybody else's chart. And so a practitioner like me can get to know a lot of different, like what does it feel like when you live your chart? You are telling me, but we're relying on what you tell me using words that I understand a certain kind of way, and my ability to track patterns among hundreds of people. Like what does that actually mean? And are we communicating the same thing? I can get into conversations about this. Like, are we both describing the same thing when we say something is blue? Like, how do we know? We can point at what our eye sees as blue and someone else says, yes, I agree, that is blue, but we may not be seeing the same color. Like objectively, we may not be seeing the same color. I freaking love that. Anyway, so yes, I believe from my pattern tracking of clients, if you are born with something out of bounds, I said this at the beginning with Keith as an example. Keith was born with the moon out of bounds, which means he never feels safe. He never feels like his needs are met. He has felt weirded out during times by progression that his moon has gone back in bounds. Because if something suddenly starts to feel safe, he feels like it's a trap. That's why he's diagnosed paranoid. Like that is his part of his PTSD is a signature of paranoia. That's also Scorpio 12th house, but I mean, and a lot of things. But there is this signature in his birth chart that says feeling safe is never safe. And so even the times that you would think, don't you feel great that you're getting an opportunity by progression or through the woo weather to feel safe? And he's like, no, because that can't be right. So yes, that. And then as far as the chart harmony around it, we're going to do things that support whatever the planet is that needs that kind of support. And so here's what I mean by that. That if you are someone who has the moon out of bounds, we'll go through my list on the screen again. If you're someone who has the moon out of bounds, or by progression you're experiencing the moon out of bounds in ways that are unpleasant, you need to do more moon support. And the moon support is chart harmony for things blue. And if you're like, Bonnie, I don't know what you're talking about because I don't know the color code of chart harmony, first I'm going to recommend that you sign up for Chart Harmony 101. It's free and it exists over here at Teachable, BonnieGillespie.teachable.com/courses. Welcome back. What if I am not here as a student who's already been here? Okay, we're going to view all products and see if it'll show me everything. Okay, I don't want my library. I want, yeah, okay, that's fine. Whatever. I'm going to trust that I will find Chart Harmony 101 because it is here. Da, da, da. Chart Harmony 101. Learn more. Chart Harmony 101. Determine the driving force in your life. Notice what your birth chart is craving. Discover which chart harmony activities will provide your life car the support it needs every day. Get you feeling great about your relationship with the woo. It's free. It's a webinar. It's a workbook. Access now. You just have to put in your email address. That will get you covered with that information. You can also put into DuckDuckGo. Please use DuckDuckGo and not the Google if at all possible. Oh my Lord, why is it 101 degrees in Cathedral City? And where is Cathedral City? I'm glad it's not here, but still, that's some high weather. Okay, that is a lot. Okay, so we're gonna put in here Bonnie Gillespie, and then blue or moon chart harmony. And yes, I know a blue moon is also a thing, but here's what I'm landing on. Bonnie Gillespie, website, yes. And you will see there's a getting started with chart harmony. That's chart harmony 101. That's exactly the thing that I just sent you to. And then use your moons. That's a whole playlist. And then also Instagram. And then Blueski. I'm there too. Look at all the places. That's so cute. That's so cute. This is somewhere else that is using my stuff. Who's using my stuff? Interesting. Probably a link farm that's using like some of my higher hit stuff. Anyway, so going on over into my website, if you don't find exactly what you're looking for through DuckDuckGo, you can type right in the search bar in my site, moon chart harmony, and you will land on a few options, and I'll let you pick what resonates. There are different phases of the moon that you may be interested in creating chart harmony around. I have specific calendar stuff. And if we go to, I don't want to go through all the calendars, Pisces moon, Aquarius moon. This is now not working the way I wanted it to for the live demo. Thanks, search. And I know Mercury's direct, so this should not be going. How about, oh, but the site's up. Mercury retrograde would mean the site's down. Okay, I want to go remediation. That's the word. Remediation, moon, go. This should, no whammies, yay! Planetary remediation. Home is safe, but nowhere else is. Now, and by the way, if I had hit on the Chart Harmony 101 link that was in the initial DuckDuckGo, that was going to be a preview to all of this. Like here, this is the Chart Harmony 101 hit the Chart Harmony 101 post, and it gives you all of these in one place. Ta-da! So this is actually all, the first search hit at DuckDuckGo was correct, and I just wanted to get cute with it. Anyway, so here we go. This is the whole chart harmony for the moon, and I've got a list of things for you to do here. Wear silver or white, use lavender essential oil, eat comfort foods, creamy things, etc. And you can download this cute little infographic if you prefer, because it just shows you the kinds of activities that go with anything that is moon related. And if you're doing chart harmony for the moon, it's pets, it's a bubble bath, it's running your hands across the prayer beads, it is going underwater and looking at creatures, it's taking a nap, it's having tea but in like sentimental china. It's writing in your journal, it's reading a good book, it's going to therapy, it's taking a spa day, it's doing yoga, blah, blah, blah. It's all right there, right? All of that is big moon chart harmony activities. If you are dealing with Mercury out of balance and you want to get that more in alignment, we will go over to Chart Harmony 101 post and we will look for the one that is Mercury. And for Mercury, that one is going to be to change is to. And this is where I'm reminded that I have been for at least 2 years planning to put up a better directory for all of my planetary remediation tips. It's better organized in our Discord. I promise. But I really, I do. I have such a to-do list of things that I keep to-don'ting. I keep to-don'ting my to-dos, and I gotta get on that. We are getting a moment where my Mercury profected chart ruler is saying, you know, you could knock this out in like 5 minutes. And I'm like, yes, but it's been on the list for 2 years now. 5 minutes makes it seem like it didn't need to be on the list for 2 years. I am having shame. Saturn, when did you get here? Okay, so here's your list for Mercury, and so on. So that's what I recommend. When we get, though, to these outers of Uranus and Pluto, and I am going to be wrapping things up here because we have definitely been going over the hour and I can feel it. We are looking at Uranus and Pluto. When we're taking a look at those two, we don't actually have planetary remediation for the outers because planetary remediation is a tradition that began with the traditional planets, and those are the 7: Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, because that's all in traditional astrology that we created around. And so to do planetary remediation for Uranus is kind of like layering on a little bit of Saturn and a little bit of Mercury, because Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury in terms of that changeability, in terms of that shaking things up and being unpredictable, but it's ruled by it is the ruler of a sign that is traditionally ruled by Saturn. And so the way Saturn rules traditionally Aquarius and Capricorn in modern astrology, Uranus got Aquarius. And so we go back to Saturn for the addition to it. So you would use a combination of Saturn and Mercury chart harmony to take care of Uranus. I hope the math is mathing for you on that. With Pluto, same thing. Pluto is a higher octave of Mars. So Mars is, I want to cut a bitch. I'm here to fight. I'm here for your motivation. Pluto is here to tear it all down. It's here to do a transformation like the Tower card. We're going to just burn it to the ground and then start again. Pluto's the modern ruler of Scorpio, which in traditional astrology is ruled by Mars. So we use a combination of Mars chart harmony to do Pluto stuff, and not a combination of anything, because both getting to it through Scorpio and it being a higher octave of Mars, you get everything you need there. So you can do chart harmony for Pluto by doing Mars things, and Uranus you would use Saturn and Mercury. And because Neptune doesn't go out of bounds, it's not on the list, but I would be really rude if I didn't include what we want to do for any kind of Neptune chart harmony, because technically you could want to do that. Neptune is a higher octave of Venus, so we start with Venus chart harmony rituals to take care of Neptune, and then we layer on it what is the modern ruler of Neptune, and that would be Pisces. And so Pisces is ruled by Jupiter in traditional astrology, so it's both the benefics. To get Neptune in better shape, we do a combination of Venus and Jupiter chart harmony. Got all that? There will be a test later. There will not be a test. There will not be a test later. I promise. There will not be a test later. Let me see if I can get my dog in here to say hello before we go. Hey, Mala Beads. Where's Mala Beads? Mala Beads, go up there. Go up there. Hop up. Go get it. Get it. You don't want to go up there? Go up there. Go. Go to your spot. Good boy. Good boy. What are you searching for? Where's your ball? Where's your ball? Where's your ball, cute boy? Yes, you are. You are right on camera, like the cutest little boy that you are. Yes, you're such a good boy. Look at that tail. Look at that tail go rear, rear, rear. Yeah, you say, Mommy, now you have to do something with me because you got me out of my nap. Well, come over here and I'll scritch on you. Nope, you're too far away. All right, I gotta close this off. Thanks for sharing. I have so many of those in my first house. Amazing. I don't think I've heard you talk about remediating the outers. I haven't, because that really is an advanced move. And you got to remember that remediation is for experiences that are local to us, and we tend to not have outer planets in situations that are problematic to us as individuals. They're much more problematic to the collective. That said, if you knew for sure that you had one of the outers on a really important planet in your personal planets, in your big three, in your life car, like you would want to know how to keep, like Pluto happy, for example, because Pluto's really powerful. Like having Pluto in the first house makes you such a powerful personality that you can be hard to take by a lot of people because you just bring such scary big energy, especially if you also have Jupiter there at the same time. Damn, that's a lot. I would be advising somebody on how to do some work to keep Pluto not from expressing as big as Pluto wants to, but not doing something opposite than what you actually want to have people experience when they feel you. Let's see. Ecosia is also a neat browser alternative. Excellent. Hi, Lisa. So good to see you. So good to see you. Yay, yay, yay. Yeah, isn't language odd? It is. It is. And also being human. True. No out of bounds for Lisa for the Saturnian Capricorn, but I do have 29-degree Gemini rising. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And I love you for it. Oh my gosh. You're awesome, Lisa. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. Hello. What did I miss? Says Danny. Danny and the Diamonds. You have your moon out of bounds. I got you covered. I got you covered. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. You're so welcome, Kelly. It's absolutely my pleasure. Awesome. Uranus is exact conjunct my rising, if I remember right. Yeah, I've got Uranus in my first house too, Liz. We'll be talking about that. It's definitely a thing. Definitely, when you have Uranus in your first house, especially if it's right on your ascendant, you are constantly going to be blowing up and rebuilding and blowing up and rebuilding and blowing up and rebuilding your Uranus. And so once you get okay with that and you're like, that's a feature, that's not a bug, that's a feature, that is going to help a great deal. But anyway, I know we will be doing some work together very shortly. I love that Mala has surrendered to the mommy's not going to finish talking, is she? Not ever. I'm in a Mercury ruled year by perfection, and I have a Libra stellium in my first house. I'm never done talking, and Mercury's up at the top of my chart conjunct Mars in another of my stelliums. Up there at the top of my chart in Cancer. Yeah, I'm never done. Never done talking. Okay, a feature, not a bug. Exactly. I love you, beautiful people. Please share in the comments what you learned about out of bounds in our conversation today. I will not make any promises for when I will have a better directory up for all the chart harmony goodies. I was called to task recently by one of my friends that I have had a website for chartharmony.com that has said coming soon for 3 years. I know. I know. I'm getting there, y'all. I'm getting there. I promise I'm getting there. I love you. Thank you. Y'all are wonderful. I really appreciate you. Okay. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you later. I'm live streaming next week. Come over to BonnieGillespie.com/events if you want to know when I will be up next. I think we are going to be talking about eclipse season next week because we are upon it very soon. All right. Take care of yourselves. Mwah. Love you. Bye.